Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tricycle's meditation group. For those of you who haven't joined us before, it's a new offering for subscribers. I'm James, Tricycle's editor-in-chief, and I'm pleased to be here with you today with Sharon Salzberg. First, I'd like to say that we're still experimenting here. Your feedback will help us determine the frequency and format of future meditations, so please write us at feedback@tricycle.org with any and all suggestions. Okay, a few notes before we begin. Today we're in a Zoom meeting, so participant video is on. We've disabled your microphones for now, but we will make this function available during the breakout groups at the end of this session. So this week we're doing breakout groups. Next week we'll return to the Q&A format. So for the first 30 minutes, Sharon will give a talk and lead a meditation, followed by 15-minute breakout groups, where you can connect with other participants and discuss your experiences. We will be providing discussion prompts before the breakout sessions that you'll be able to refer to in the chat during the breakout. I know last time there was a bit of a problem with this, so we'll put them in the chat. Most of you likely know who Sharon Salzberg is, but if not, she's the co-founder of the Insight Meditation Society in Barre, Massachusetts, and a best-selling author. Her latest book, Real Life, The Journey from Isolation to Openness and Freedom, is now out in paperback, and I'm guessing that Sharon will be drawing from that book during her talk. And you can learn more about her work at sharonsalzberg.com. So here, I turn it over to Sharon. Welcome, Sharon.
Thank you. That's actually a very profound question. Who is Sharon Salzberg? I don't know. I've been looking for a long time. So welcome, everybody. It's a great delight to be with you again. And I am going back to the basic framework I used in that book, Real Life, which is the movement from feeling constricted and trapped and kind of overwhelmed to feeling open and free and connected at the same time. And so, as we talked last week, a lot of that movement from constriction to freedom happens not in terms of what is arising, it happens in terms of how we relate to what is arising. So it's almost like the holding environment that allows us to open, to feel that sense of, oh, I can breathe free. Even though maybe what's coming up is complex, it's difficult, thought, feeling, sensation, whatever it might be. So we also talked last week some about that holding environment, which we create through mindful awareness. When the experience, the thought, the feeling, the sensation is painful, because we have, most of us, pretty strong conditioning, cultural conditioning, personal conditioning around painful emotions, around illness, around body pain, whatever it might be, unfortunate circumstance even. Something happens and we tend to add to it shame and fear, and we concretize it. This is all I'll ever feel, and it just becomes overwhelming. And oddly enough, we can also have a pretty distorted relationship to experiencing pleasure, which is what I want to talk about today and have us do a meditation. And next week, since someone asked last week, we're going to be doing loving kindness meditation, which is a further expansion of that idea of cultivating the states that actually help us open and feel free in those ways. So the distorted relationship to pleasure, to joy, to delight, to wonder that may come up in our experience, internal or external. The classic way of looking at it through the Buddhist teaching is that we tend, when something kind of great comes up, we tend to cling, we hold on. We want to preserve it, we want to own it, we want to be in control of it. And that, of course, is it's in a way, it's a gesture of fear, right? I can't let this change. I've got to keep this. I will be incomplete. I will not be whole unless I can hold on to this person, this situation, this feeling, whatever it might be. And so we see that when we do that, when that happens, that it becomes really an act of fear. And so we've closed down, we're really uptight. We can't admit the truth of change, and change is life. And so we've now deadened the experience in some way. And so that's really the classic way of looking at it. But also, I think when we practice meditation or we practice just kind of introspection of any sort, we see several kind of distorted ways of dealing with or working with delightful, wonderful, awesome things that may come up for us. Certainly, we might be so distracted we hardly even notice the good thing that's going on. Many evolutionary biologists will say that we have a kind of negativity bias, that we are entrained genetically to look for danger, for threat, and we can overlook very easily that wonderful thing that's also happening over there. We may have a very dismissive attitude towards something like gratitude. And many people have said to me that to have gratitude for the good things happening in one's life is really an act of stupidity. It's like being grateful for crumbs, and there's some bad situation, an unjust situation going on, but we're just going to overlook it because we're so grateful because we have this little bit going on. But in talking about this with researchers, it was interesting. One actually said to me that people who practice gratitude, who open to taking active delight in the good that has come their way, first of all, they're energized. They don't feel so depleted, so overwhelmed, so impoverished. They have energy to seek change if that's what seems like the right thing to do. And people who practice gratitude tend to want to pay it forward. They want to see other people get a break. They want to see other people get a chance. And so it's really a propellant for seeking change or trying to make things better in some way. Sometimes a really great thing is happening internally or externally, and we just fall into this spiral of thinking, I don't deserve this, and it shouldn't be this way, and almost a kind of shame spiral around the good. And so it takes some cultivation, really, and a willingness almost to take some risks with our attention, not only to be with painful things in a different way, but even to be with joyful things in a way. And, researchers also say that it's not just a kind of glancing look at something good that is happening, something pleasant that's happening. It's actually taking it in. That the psychological term is savoring, and that's what rewires our brain, interestingly enough, is the act of savoring. So we feel, that's selfish, that's weird, that's boastful or something. But it's really not. It's actually laying the grounds for having that more expansive and open relationship to the joy that comes our way, and letting it feed us, letting it nourish us, really paying attention in a different way. And so that's the meditation I'd like us to do today. And it's kind of a combination of meditation and reflection. And as I said, next week, we're going to move on and further expand that into a loving kindness practice. So let's sit together. You can sit comfortably, just be relaxed. Your eyes can be open or closed. And the foundation is going to be resting our attention on something like the feeling of the breath, the actual sensations of the in and out breath, just the normal, natural breath. That's where we'll begin. That's where we'll return as I offer these suggestions for reflections. It may be interesting. It may be provocative. It may feel to you at any given time it's like too much. You simply want to be with your experience. You just come back to be with the breath. Okay, so let's start there. Wherever you feel the breath most distinctly, the nostrils, the chest, or the abdomen, you can bring your attention there and just rest. See if you can feel one breath. Without concern for what's already gone by, without leaning forward even for the very next breath, just this one. Now I want you to see if you can think of one good thing you did yesterday. It doesn't have to be big or grandiose. Maybe you smiled at somebody. Maybe you listened to them. Maybe you were starting to get annoyed at a slow shop clerk, but you let go of your irritation. Maybe you took out your recycling or emailed an interesting article to a friend, thanked a bus driver. Just whatever comes to mind. See how it makes you feel as you recollect. Now think of another thing. Remember that it's not conceited or arrogant to consider what you've done right. It's replenishing to delight in the good that moves through us. In fact, we can't be genuinely appreciative of others until we appreciate ourselves. So for a few moments, sit with that recollection of what you did that was good. And if you can't think of anything, that's okay. Sitting down to do the exercise, to meditate, that counts too. So you can use this. It's a way of befriending ourselves and being willing to expand our awareness beyond like my faults, my issues, the things I did wrong. Let's open. Step out of some of those ruts and try something new that's positive. Think about something you might be grateful for that happened today or yesterday. Doesn't have to be magnificent. Could be that you're breathing. And allow it in a way to fill you. We resist and we're embarrassed or whatever, but it's very strengthening to recollect not only our problems and what's wrong, but what we have to be grateful for. And I always say, in all honesty, this doesn't come automatically to me. All of my conditioning would lean me toward, what can I complain about today? Especially the ways I didn't show up or someone else didn't. So it takes not force or coercion, but intentionality. What do I have to be grateful for? What else happened yesterday? And see how that feels. Think of someone you know who's having a difficult time right now. And see if you can also think of the good within that person. The times they've reached out to help others or their own sources of strength. So that you can see that this person is not just their problem, but also something bigger. Think of a difficult time in your day. Can you see yourself as being bigger than your problem with a potential for growth and change? Can you remember that difficulty, whether it's too much to do, a cramped schedule, an inconsolable crying child? It will change. It isn't forever. That's what I mean by being bigger than the problem. Remember that even if you lose your temper or you feel overwhelmed, you can begin again. And coming back to balance is being bigger than the problem. And then the last reflection that we'll do before we just simply sit together Goes back to the Buddha's statement that all beings want to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy. Not happy in a superficial sense of happy-go-lucky or only having pleasure, but a profound sense. We want to have a sense of being at home somewhere in this body, in this mind, with one another on this planet. We want a sense of belonging. And that's not something to be ashamed of or feel squeamish about. When we can align that urge toward happiness with wisdom instead of ignorance or confusion about where happiness is actually to be found, it's a very powerful homing instinct for freedom, and we can cut through many obstacles. So you can silently repeat phrases like, all beings want to be happy. May they be happy. Or may we be happy. We get so confused sometimes about that. It's like, it's not right, it's too greedy, but it is right, because happiness in this deeper sense is the wellspring for being able to help others. We have some resource. We can take delight in our urge toward happiness. And let's sit together now. You can rest your attention on the feeling of the breath or whatever you use as a primary object. And remember that the real key is in once your attention wanders or you fall asleep or you get distracted, whatever may happen, not judging yourself and not berating yourself, but practicing letting go gently and simply returning, coming back to the sensation, the feeling of the breath. If you have to let go and begin again in this way, a whole lot, it's totally fine. When you feel ready, you can open your eyes or lift your gaze, and we'll end the meditation.